How's it going, everybody? My name is Levi, and today we're going to be doing a bit of an overview / tour of my 2008 BMW 335i Touring. So this is an E91 BMW chassis, but it is a 335 model. Now, to those in Europe and other places, that might not sound too crazy, but for us North Americans, we never got the E91 Wagon with the 335 model. The nicest thing we got was the 328. We never got these with the N54 or the N55. So to my friends stateside, you might be wondering how on earth I have this car, and that's because I'm from Canada. Here in Canada, we have a 15-year import rule for cars, like this one, which came from Japan. So once the 2008 model year rolled around in 2023, these were 15 years old, and I was able to import one. I bought this car in February of 2023. It took until August of 2023 for the car to finally arrive. Unfortunately, there were a bit of shipping delays. There were a couple other hiccups along the way of importing this car, but all in all, the process went fairly smooth and I'm very happy with the car. This was an auction grade 4B for anyone that's familiar with Japanese auctions. So the car was described as to be in very good condition, and it also sported only 46,000 kilometers when I picked it up, which I think is around 25,000 miles for you Americans. Very, very low mileage 335. Part of what really had me interested in importing this car. Now, as far as modifications go, I have already done a couple things to this car, clearly. First off, we have the SSR Type C wheels, front and rear. These are 18 by 8.5s with 245/35/18 tires. In true 335 owner fashion, I immediately put an MHD Stage 1 tune on this thing, along with an XHP Stage 3 trans tune. The MHD tune really did wake the car up and gave it a lot more power. Immediately killed about half my coil packs, so new coil packs and new spark plugs were back in business. It's running great. We might go to a Stage 1 Plus tune here. I do have a VRSF intercooler for this thing to put on eventually, but I'm kind of trying to leave it mostly stock power-wise. I don't really want to turn this thing up and put a lot of stress on the injectors, turbos, etc. I kind of want to just enjoy the car in its stock form, do a couple visual mods to it, and then just enjoy it as a nice daily driver. Let's go around the car. I'm going to point out some of the things about this car that make it kind of unique or special. Some of the stuff that you only really could get in the Japanese and Euro spec cars. Just kind of show some of the things that you might not have on your 335i. So let's talk headlights. As you can see, these are pre-LCI headlights, but they're still clear like an LCI headlight. And that's because this front reflector piece here is actually clear instead of amber like we get in North America. These aren't the signature lobster claw headlights. Now, I have added this ugly little reflector on the front bumper. This is solely so that I can pass my out-of-province inspection in order to get the car registered. Once that's all done, I'll probably take these off. Also different on the front end, these were just a couple small things I did myself. We have these black front grills. The factory chrome ones had this weird M stripe wrapped onto the grills, and I wasn't able to save them, so I put the black ones on instead. And then we also have these front little bumper extensions. These are fake carbon. I don't mind the way they look on the front bumper, but I will be getting real ones if I keep them, except we might just be switching straight up to an M3 style bumper to give the front end a bit better look. As you can see here, the hood has a pretty big dent and it's actually scratched all the way to bare metal there. The fenders are also both damaged. They're pulled out a little bit on this side. This fender's the worst one, actually. If you look, there's a pretty hard crease line in the fender and it's been pulled right out of alignment with the rest of the body. I do have an ongoing claim open with the shipping company that brought this thing over from Japan. Hopefully they settle soon. They've been really lowballing me on the price on what it's going to cost to fix this stuff, but I'm hoping it gets settled eventually. Now, this car unfortunately did sustain a bit of shipping damage when they brought it over. That's kind of why I haven't really done anything to the front end yet as far as a new hood or a new bumper or even a new lip, because I want to wait and see what the insurance is going to pay me out, and then I'm going to work with the body shop that it's going to go to, see if we can maybe put some better parts, some aftermarket parts on it, and just work with the budget we have. Coming to the back, I am pretty sure these rear tail lights are different. They have a bit of an amber color in the top of the taillight, whereas the ones I've seen here that are pre-LCI, they are all a solid red. I don't mind the pre-LCI taillights on this car. I think it's because it's white. I don't mind the way the white reverse light looks, but maybe we'll tint that little corner of the taillight in the future and see how the solid red looks. Another thing I love about any of the E46 and E91 wagons is having the dual lids. I love that you can open both sides. Coming into the back here, open this bad boy up, shows us some other neat stuff. We have a factory BMW med kit. Never know when you need it. And then also in here, this is a fold out little traffic cone. So if for some reason you broke down, which you probably did because you drive a BMW, you've got a lovely little traffic cone to put out to let everyone know that, hey, I need some index 12s. Let's hop inside the car and I'll show you guys some of the differences on the interior that are interesting, being a right-hand drive model from Japan. Starting off with the obvious, of course, this car is right-hand drive, so the steering wheel's on this side, The cup holders are on the other side, which also means that the very common to break cup holders on this side are specific to the right-hand drive model because they curve in different directions. Oh, and wouldn't you believe it? They're already broken. This one works, I think. That one does not. So I guess I need to get a right-hand drive cup holder from either Japan or Europe because we do not have the right-hand drive ones in Canada. This car does have iDrive, which is really nice. Comfort access, approach lights. It has the split center console, which is pretty neat. And there's a couple other small options, I believe, that were kind of unique or specially ordered on this car. The rear view mirror is a bit different, as you can see. It's got this added part up here, which is the toll reader. So when I start this car up, it says no card as it's trying to read the toll card. Did not have this little cubby in my old 335. Very nice, lots of storage, great place to put your sunglasses or your wallet. And now, just in case someone doesn't believe me, 49,962 kilometers. Just about to roll over to 50,000. Of course, the navigation in this car is all in Japanese, and I have not been able to find any other language loaded in it. But if we pull up the maps, it's loaded to Japan. So if we go back here, we are in Japan, but actually in Canada. But it's kind of funny to drive around with this thing because it thinks it's in Japan. I probably should have this screen updated. I was planning to just get one of the Apple CarPlay units that you can get. Should still all be plug and play even with the Japanese model, and then that way I actually have some sort of functional radio. Right now the only thing I really use it for is music with an aux cord, but it's kind of fun to show people. It also makes navigating all the menus to try and find your oil level so fun because it's all in Japanese. A small price to pay to have a dripped out 335 Wagon though. As far as right-hand drive vehicles go, this is probably one of the easier ones to drive. For one, it's automatic, so that's not really confusing at all. The paddles on these cars, you can upshift and downshift on both sides, so nothing like that is flipped. And also, the signals are still on the left, even though this is a right-hand drive vehicle. Normally they flip them, but it's still on the left, so that wasn't confusing at all when I drive it. So other than being on the other side of the car, everything else is pretty much the same. Gotta show off the approach lights real quick. Love the way they look on this car, especially at night. The engine bay for the most part looks exactly the same on this car. The only big one being that the steering shaft is now right next to the turbos, which makes getting a single turbo kit, upgraded inlets, even some of the upgraded turbos a lot more difficult to find for this car because you now have a steering rack and a steering shaft jammed right in between your turbos. I'm not really planning on doing downpipes on this car for now, but from what I've seen, if I do want to do them, the subframe's got to come out. So, kind of dreading that. But I do absolutely love this car. Had a couple hiccups getting it imported, dealing with the damage. But hey, it's an awesome car. This thing's super fun. The average person probably doesn't realize that there's anything special to it, but that's kind of the fun part. A proper enthusiast of BMWs knows that this is not something we got here, which is really fun. As far as mods go, it needs some tint. Not a fan of the fishbowl. Pretty happy with the wheel setup, but like I said, we might put the BBSs on it. And then I just want to put some miles on this thing. It's such a fun car to drive. I took it through Highwood Pass, which is a really cool paved road through Alberta. That was a super fun run to take on this thing. So I just want to get this car running, get it staying reliable as a 335 can be, of course, and then just enjoy this car for what it is. The E46, on the other hand, is getting some work done. This is an M54 B30 out of a 330 Ci. This is going to be getting a bottom mount turbo setup, so the turbo is going to be around here, kind of similar to an N55 turbo. And this is also going to get an upgraded ZF Trans, a couple other goodies. It's going to be a super fun little street car, making around 350 wheel, I'm hoping. And this is just going to stay stock for now power-wise. One day we might build this thing to be a monster. We got a nice low mileage N54 that would love a single turbo kit maybe, or some upgraded twins. But for now I just want to keep it the way it is. Because if you know N54s, they can be an absolute money pit when it comes to turning up power. This thing's gonna need index 12s at some point. It's probably gonna need a water pump, high pressure fuel pump, and a walnut blast, and a new motor and a new trans, and a million other things that these N54s need. So for now, I'm just gonna enjoy it at the power level it's at. It's super fun, it's super comfortable, and it's just a great daily driver. That's gonna be it from me. I just wanted to give a quick walk around of this car, show it off. I don't know of any or very few 335 Tourings imported to Canada yet. I know of a couple that might be in Australia, but for the most part, not very many people have gotten any of these things out of Japan yet. And I think they're really, really cool cars, and for the money, they are well worth importing. So be sure to like and subscribe if you want to see some more content on this wagon, or on the E46 turbo build. I'm gonna be trying to post some videos on here as well as on my TikTok. Be sure to check that out as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. In the next video, we're going to be doing some suspension work to the car. The strut mounts are pretty bad on this thing, and then we're also gonna be doing the oil change that hasn't been changed since they first shipped it in February. See you guys then.